Senator Kennedy from Louisiana is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a point of personal privilege, Sherrod. I've enjoyed working with you, and I wish you well.
Thank you, John.
I mean that.
Thank you.
I still remember one of our earliest hearings. I was brand new, green as a gourd, and you and Tillis and I got into a meatloaf lyrics discussion. It's one of the highlights of my life. Mr. Shilford, can the President of the United States fire you?
Yes, of course.
Okay. Have you had any discussions with the new administration?
That's really for you to discuss with them, but no, we serve at the pleasure of the president.
Okay. Here's one of the things that I have always wondered. Why haven't you taken a look at what our universities have been doing in terms of tuition? I was reading a study the other day put out by the New York Fed. It's a little dated. Things have probably gotten worse. But 60 cents of every dollar that our kids borrow has been diverted into higher tuition payments. And the universities have gotten more and more and more expensive. So kids borrow more and more and more money. So universities can hire more and more people and raise tuition to pay for it. And that doesn't seem fair to me. Why haven't you asked your people, or maybe you haven't know about it, to take a look at what, if any, nexus there is between this?
Yeah, well, we have found some nexus. When I was a regulator at the CFPB 10 years ago, we actually went after some of these schools. What they were doing.
You went after the for-profit schools. I'm talking about some of our more prominent universities that clearly keep raising their tuition as kids borrow more money.
Yeah,
I
agree with you.
For-profit, but I'm talking about the not-for-profit universities.
I agree. I agree that there are serious problems with how some universities can steer people into loans to borrow more and more and more. And I think as we think about fixing our student loan system, I don't know if the existing one is one we want to keep, because not only is it burdening a lot of people, but it may be creating the incentives for some universities to really be pushing up the costs. And that's actually a bad cycle. And we have seen it. We have seen it a lot with some of the for-profit schools, but also some of the nonprofits.
We had
as
a
well.
former president at LSU who was asking for yet another tuition increase from our legislature. I'm paraphrasing that. And a legislator asked him, he said, how do you determine how much to increase tuition? And in a rare moment of candor, he said, I just go out in the parking lot, the student parking lot, and count the BMWs. He's no longer president, by the way, nor should he be. I understand President Biden's approach.
Senator John Kennedy just dropped a truth bomb in Congress, and it's making waves. From exploding tuition rates to student debt traps and bank bailouts, this hearing had it all. In this video, we break down Kennedy's fiery comments, shocking university practices, and the government's failure to hold corrupt execs accountable. Don't miss this breakdown of one of the most brutally honest Senate moments yet. Student debt is crushing an entire generation. Universities keep raising tuition, yet graduates are earning less than ever. And when banks collapse under their own mismanagement, no one goes to jail. In a fiery Senate hearing, Senator John Kennedy wasn't having it. He grilled federal officials, pulled no punches, and said what millions of Americans are thinking. Today we're breaking down his mic drop moments because this wasn't just politics. This was truth-telling in its rawest form. Before diving into the hard questions, Senator Kennedy showed a rare human side. He reminisced about his early days in the Senate, and yes, even brought up Meatloaf lyrics. It was warm, it was quirky, but that tone quickly shifted. Because next, he came with the heat. Kennedy dove straight into one of America's biggest scandals, student loan debt. He cited a New York Fed study showing that 60 cents of every borrowed dollar ends up in university tuition hikes. Let that sink in. Students borrow more, universities charge more, students drown in debt, the schools get richer, and the cycle repeats. He even told a chilling story of a former LSU president who based tuition hikes on the number of BMWs in the student parking lot. That's not a joke, that's real. Then came the real moment of reckoning. Kennedy asked a simple question. How many executives from Silicon Valley Bank or Signature Bank went to jail? The answer? 0. Not a single one. Billions were lost. Emergency bailouts kicked in. And yet, no accountability, no justice. He pushed hard on why these people who knowingly played with the financial system still walk free. The response? Dodges, evasions, and a whole lot of passing the buck.
Nor should he be. I understand President Biden's approach has been to forgive the debt, but it seems to me that at least a partial root of the problem is universities have gotten greedy, and it's costing more. Kids are spending more to earn less, and the rubber is about to meet the road because kids are just saying now it's not worth going to college. The numbers are declining. At some point, the demand is not completely inelastic. And I sure would like you folks to take a look at that.
Well, we'll keep doing that, and I'll follow up with you directly. I will share with you that we got to do something for the 40 million people who have student debt, but we also have to make sure there's not another 40 million who are really going to get into too much debt because of this cycle that you
Let me ask you
mentioned
one
as
last
well.
question in my 8 seconds. You're on the FDIC board.
Yes, sir.
How many people from Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank went to jail? How many executives did y'all put in jail?
Well, I can't comment on any investigations, but
No,
we'll
I'm
try
asking
our
how
best.
many. It's been a couple of years. How many of them went to jail?
If you are worried that there is not enough accountability, I share that worry, and we got to make
they
sure.
stole money. How many of them went to jail? How many did the FDIC?
The FDIC can't put him in jail, but the Justice Department has put 0 in jail so far.
0.
So we are going to make sure that I can't disclose everything, but it needs to be fully investigated, the role that every individual
You
played.
better hurry, because I think it's unconscionable. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Senator Kennedy's words struck a chord not just in Congress but across the country. Because behind the politics are real people, students, parents, taxpayers, who are tired of being lied to, gouged, and left behind. Will anything change? That depends on us. Smash that like button if you believe it's time for universities and banks to be held accountable. Drop a comment below. Have you or someone you love been affected by student debt? And don't forget to subscribe for more breakdowns of what's really happening in Washington. Until next time, stay informed, stay vocal, and stay hopeful.